And Adam Gentleson is the former chief of staff for Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman. Welcome all. Okay, Shaq, you're actually at the facility where absentee ballots are being opened and processed. So tell us what you're seeing.
Well, Chris, when you look at the state of Michigan, we know that more than 1.5 million people have already returned their absentee ballots. And today, because of the new law here in Michigan, clerks across the state are now able, they have the option to start working through those actual ballots. Here in Detroit, it's happening in this massive convention hall. Workers are coming back from their lunch break. But I think we have some video to show you of what we were watching earlier, where we saw workers actually going through and cutting open those absentee ballots. They confirm the number on the ballot with the number on the ballot envelope. And if everything checks out under the watchful eye of those observers and of those election watchers and challengers, then they put that ballot into the tabulator. The impact that this could have is that, unlike what we saw in 2020, the expectation is that the count of these absentee ballots will not drag into the late night hours. I want you to listen to the conversation I had with Detroit's clerk about the impact of this change. With this new law, when will Detroit have its results posted?
We'll have our results posted by 11 o'clock news. 90 to 95% of our results will be posted by then.
Why is that?
Because now we're able to pre-process. Now we're able to do the work that we would do on Election Day 9 days prior. I think it gives lends more trust to our voters. I think they believe in the process more, right? If we're able to show that we can get through our work and present it efficiently.
Chris, I think you could see the joy in her face with the idea that they don't have to wait until Election Day to start going through. For them, hundreds of thousands of ballots they can go through methodically. They know, for example, today they're going to go through about 11,000 ballots. They can take their time with them, process them, and build the trust with folks when they know that these totals are not going to be reported until election night, but now it won't have to be the overnight hours. It could actually be closer to when polls actually close.
Yeah, I've watched that up close. The pressure on those folks on election night when they're waiting is really a lot. So thank you for that, Shaq. Yeah. Okay, Tom, the Michigan Secretary of State's office reports that 1.7 million voters have already cast a ballot in that state. Put that in some perspective. What do the numbers that you're seeing tell you?
Yeah, I mean, what we're seeing in this turnout in Michigan is pretty remarkable. We've been expecting, I mean, as you were talking about in the last segment, Republicans have been pushing early voting very hard. And we've been expecting to see them increase their numbers. And as you showed, in some states, we've been seeing that. In Michigan, a lot of these numbers, they don't have partisan registration there, but we look at the demographics. There are more women voting. We've got a bigger gender gap even than when we had in the Dobbs election in 2022, bigger than 2020. Black voters, especially big turnout there in Detroit, especially older black women. They're a bigger share of the early vote than we saw 4 years ago. So those are good early signs. Still lots of votes to be cast on Election Day there, but good early signs for the Harris campaign.
Yeah, and how does it traditionally hold? And I ask this because now we seem to have like a better mix, right, of a reflection of what the larger voting population is. You've got more than 44 million Americans already voting, more than a quarter of the total that was cast in 2020. And I know it's still early, but is this sort of a better indication, maybe, of where things might be on Election Day? Or you just say, who knows?
Yeah, I mean, it's still a bit of a question. It's been a roller coaster. As you noted, in 2020, the early vote was overwhelmingly, not just in Michigan, but around the country, it was overwhelmingly Democratic because Donald Trump told his supporters that vote by mail was a form of fraud. Now that you're seeing Republicans come back into the process, as they used to do before Donald Trump was around, it will be more balanced. The expectation is still that Election Day will lean more Republican and the early vote will lean more Democratic. It's just going to be less of a stark polarization than we saw 4 years ago.
So, Adam, I want to play for you what the Harris campaign chair, Jen O'Malley Dillon, had to say about what they're seeing with the early vote. Take a listen.
We actually feel very, very good about what we're seeing for early vote. We are seeing high turnout everywhere. When we look head to head at our vote versus the Republicans, we're coming out ahead there. More of our people that don't traditionally vote are showing up. Just in the last 2 days in Clark County in Nevada, for instance, where Las Vegas is, we have seen higher youth turnout in the last 2 days than we've seen at any other point this cycle. You mentioned Michigan. We had 145,000 voters vote early just yesterday alone.
So, Adam, you know a little bit about Nevada because you worked for the late Senator Harry Reid. I wonder what you make of the turnout there and Michigan.
Yeah, I think this is my 8th cycle, I think, observing close elections in Nevada. So it's I've been through this a few times before. And I want to zero in on one thing that Jen said in that clip you just played, which is she focused on turnout among people who don't frequently vote. And I think that is one of the positive signs for Democrats, because it's not just about turning out people in the early vote, because if you're just turning out voters who vote on election day, you're doing what's called cannibalizing your election day vote. And I think there's some of that going on with Republicans, where this is the first cycle, especially in Nevada, where the party has cleanly emphasized early voting without any interference from Donald Trump or any contradictory messages from Donald Trump. And so you've got a lot of people turning out in the upstate places, in the rural counties in Nevada. But what we think is happening there is that those are a lot of people who probably would have just waited and voted on election day. So Republicans are cannibalizing what would normally be their massive turnout on election day, which would be an advantage for them over Democrats. What Democrats are seeing is more turnout in the early vote among people who don't normally vote, which is additive, and that increases their ultimate total there. And then on election day, you go back to the people who normally vote on election day and turn them out. So I think that's what you see as a positive sign in this early vote data in Nevada in particular, but I also think in other states such as Pennsylvania and Michigan as well.
It's one of the places that I want to ask you about this question about. The Harris campaign has been intently focused on building the support of suburban voters and former Republicans, obviously, and they're hoping it might be able to counter potential losses among more traditionally Democratic voters, specifically Arab Americans, who have objected to the administration's policy on Israel. Does it work that way? Could it work that way?
It certainly could. And you've seen in the polling this entire cycle that Democrats are making gains with suburban voters. And here's the thing about suburban voters is, one, they tend to live in relatively dense areas, which makes them easier to turn out when it comes to ground game. They also tend to be more reliable voters. College-educated voters are more populous in suburban counties. This is not a values judgment. It's just a fact that people with college degrees tend to be more reliable voters. So you sort of have a higher yield among suburban populations than you do elsewhere. Again, not values judgments. These are just sort of cold, hard strategic facts that the campaign is dealing with. So, you know, I think there have been signs all along that first President Biden and now Kamala Harris are making gains among suburban voters, and you're starting to see that manifest in this early vote data, which I think is a very encouraging sign.
Tom Bonier, Adam Gentleson, guys, thank you so much. And still